So after years of bans, the Supreme Court seems to have opened up the doors just slightly for firecrackers in Delhi this Diwali. But not just any firecrackers. The court could potentially allow green crackers under tight restrictions. So what are green crackers and can they really help clean up Delhi's toxic air? So we thought we'll tell you a little bit about them. Here's our explainer. Now, green crackers are redesigned firecrackers that emit fewer pollutants than traditional ones. They contain reduced amounts of harmful chemicals like barium, aluminium, and also include additives that suppress dust and smoke. Scientists from NEERI, for example, claim that these crackers can reduce particulate pollution by about 30 to 35%. While they are considered safer, experts also caution that they still release ultra-fine particles and sort of gases, meaning they are less harmful, not harmless. That's the bottom line here. Let's also now look at how are these green crackers different from your conventional firecrackers. We've got a couple of comparisons over there. Okay, number one, on chemical composition. Now, conventional firecrackers contain higher levels of harmful metals. I already pointed them out. It's barium, it's potassium, it's nitrate, aluminum, all of them. Green crackers, on the other hand, use reduced amounts of these metals, so a reduced amount of aluminum content maybe. But when it comes to pollution, let's look at the next one. How exactly do they fare? Conventional crackers release a lot of particulate matter, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, heavy metals. Green crackers cut the particulate matter emissions, claimed to be by 30 to 35%, producing much less smoke. But let's get into the dust and smoke a little bit then. Regular crackers have no additives to reduce these, but green crackers claim to include special additives to suppress dust and make the smoke less visible. What about noise? Well, noise levels are also a big difference. Conventional crackers can get very loud, obviously, we all know it, often exceeding safe limits as well, while green crackers are designed to produce lower noise and reduce noise pollution as well. But burst duration and intensity, that's the critical one. Traditional crackers have longer, more intense bursts and heavy sparks, whereas green crackers often have shorter bursts and controlled flame intensity. Another point there is that conventional crackers contain materials that produce heavy ash when burned. Green crackers eliminate these ash-producing ingredients, resulting in less litter as well. Finally, certification. Conventional crackers don't require any environmental certification. Green crackers are certified by bodies like NEERI, by PESCO, and to meet sort of pollution control standards. They claim to be meeting them, but of course there are a lot of fakes out in the market as well. To top it off, green crackers include dust suppressants to further reduce particulate matter. So what's the catch here then? Well, the catch is that scale matters. Even if each cracker emits less pollution, widespread use could still overwhelm the system, erasing the environmental gains altogether. Delhi's background pollution, remember, the level basic pollution, even as we speak today, is already quite bad. Delhi fails during this time of the year when weather patterns trap sort of pollutants close to the ground, and all of us are already in the poor category if you don't know it already. Enforcement is a key risk as well. Without strict checks, non-certified or fake green crackers could easily enter the market. So what's the bottom line? Green crackers may offer a compromise celebration only if it is implemented with caution. But whether they bring joy or just more smog will really depend on how well the rules are followed and how strictly they are enforced. Because remember, Delhi is really holding its breath, quite literally, on this one. Let's bring in our experts now to talk about whether or not green crackers work and what to expect as well in the coming days. With me is Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist and CEO of Green the Map, and Bhavreen, Kandhari, member of Warrior Moms. Warrior Moms is actually now petitioning in the Supreme Court as well, asking for not to allow green crackers altogether. But Vimlendu, can I get a big picture? I just laid out the difference between the two. The key really is how many of them are being burst, and importantly, who's actually looking at the labeling of the green crackers. Are they really as green as they claim to be? Like we said, only 35% less. Can Delhi survive on those green crackers if all of them were supposed to go green?
No, I think the first thing that we need to understand is that what's the baseline. And therefore, as you know, when we talk about firecrackers in Washington, D.C., green or non-green is very, very different from firecrackers in Greenland, or for that matter, therefore, firecrackers in Delhi NCR, whose baseline is already really, really pathetic when it comes to air quality, right? As in, we're talking about today's air quality when we haven't had the stubble burn, the smoke come in as yet. The winter hasn't really arrived, and still it's moderate to poor. And these are the government monitors that we're talking about. And imagine what is going to happen after 10 days when we will have so-called green firecrackers, which by the admission of the government itself is only less polluting by 30%, or and the other way around to look at it is that it still pollutes 70%. And imagine on any given day, these firecrackers in all the last 5 Diwalis, so to say, if you look at the WHO report, it says that the air quality index of the PM 2.5 and PM 10 levels on the night of Diwali, it reaches 20 to 30 times worse than the permissible limits. Most of the ICUs run out of a hospital bed. Children and elderly are admitted in the hospital. And then we still think that our right to faith or right to religion is more important than Article 21, which is right to liberty, life, clean environment, and so on and so forth. As in, year after year, we have been talking about it, and with really abandoning our scientific acumen, with regarding our regard for forget the environment for a second, and we're not even talking about being green warriors or environmentalists and concerned about the romance of our clean air. It's just a matter of public health. When your city is in ICU, do you actually treat your city with more toxins, 30% less or 40% less? How does it even matter? And I feel so outraged and disgusted by the fact that this entire movement for clean air. By the way, say no to firecrackers movement has been going on for many, many, many decades in that sense. One. Two, it has taken a lot of advocacy and work, advocacy in terms of talking to people in power, including people in the government or the Supreme Court for that matter, and also a lot of effort that's gone on the ground to educate the citizenry. And suddenly we've seen the Supreme Court in its own wildest imagination trying to monkey balance this entire deal by saying, oh, well, it's okay to blast firecrackers for 4 to 5 hours. As in, what is Supreme Court even thinking
No,
by just because of the political
to be
environment,
fair, Mr.
just
Jha,
because the
Supreme Court
political
hasn't
environment
passed
is
an order.
charged,
Supreme Court hasn't passed an order just yet.
but
It was one
almost
of the
has indicated, if
observations
you
that
look
had
at
said, and they haven't
absolutely.
done it. The Delhi
And
government actually
therefore, I
approached
think,
the Supreme
therefore, it
Court
is
to say
very
that you should allow
important,
green
Poonam,
crackers.
and therefore I'm just forewarning the judges if they're watching this program or listening to the lungs of our children that fine, but they had the courage or miscarriage of justice to make those observations, to even think that let's look at 4 to 5 hours and to fall for this trap called green firecrackers, where there's something called is the most oxymoronish term that we've ever heard called green firecrackers. And by the way, we're not even talking about child labor. We're not even talking about the business lobby involved. As we all know, there are at least 100 reports that you'll read of who makes these firecrackers. And we talk about Ramji and all our gods. Do you think gods would like our children to live 10 years less because they want these toxic barium, aluminium, sodium, lead firecrackers to be blasted for somebody's glory? You want your child. I know you have a child. I have a 4.5-year-old child. Do I want my child to have asthma because Ramji will be very, very happy? And by the way, firecracker ban was not only for Diwali. Firecracker ban was for
All year
Bakrid,
round.
is for year round, and therefore it is not anti-Hindu. It is for liberty to live and our children's right to breathe clean air. And I'm not saying that Diwali is the only reason why our children and our elderly or you and I are not breathing clean air. As in, there's a miscarriage of governance. There's a fractured understanding of air pollution and very little, so less and so delayed and so pathetically governed excuses that we've seen when it comes to air quality governance. So Delhi anyway is so polluted. Delhi's air lasts so months. As in, today's headline was that, oh, well, since June 21, पहली बार गंदी हवा हुई है. And I was on a show a couple of days ago when BJP government said, oh, well, look at our performance. No, it's weather gods that's made the rain, the extended rain that we had. So, Aam Aadmi Party, be it BJP that is in power, and not just about Delhi. We're talking about the airshed. We're talking about North India. We're talking about sort of, sati was a part
Mr.
of
Jha,
our
I
system, of our faith.
totally understand your sentiment, and that's why I've not interrupted you even for a minute when you said all these things. You want to say one more thing, ma'am? Sir, I want to give Bhavreen also one point. I'll come back to you, sir. Just bear with me. I've heard you out at length. I was just looking at the pollution meter while he was speaking. He's actually absolutely right. We are 264 already, so we are already in the poor category as of now. Bhavreen, the argument really is that, you know, the kids don't even get to understand what firecrackers is all about. The argument is of experience versus health. How are you going to justify that in court?
Yes, I guess, Sonal, we are all parents here. How does it feel when a mother is actually walking up and down with a wheezing child all night, or rushing a child or elderly person in the house to the hospital? These are repeated. I mean, our feeds in our social media are full of such examples where people are desperate. They've said now something, actually between you and Vimlendu, you've really said everything and very articulately that there's really nothing to add in technical terms. This is the Article 21 of the Constitution, and the Supreme Court themselves have always repeatedly held the right to clean air as a part of the right to life. Now, allowing green crackers, like Vimlendu just elaborated, that when you would you go back to your house and ask that someone that you fed the child, and somebody says, no, yeah, we did today, we gave less poison. How would you react? Now, it's as simple as that. Are you willing to take less poison for a child? And it's about every emission. We are not, none of us here are speaking only about crackers. We are working, probably we have dedicated our lives to every source of emission that we are working. The trolls can come and do and say anything they want, but our past records show that. So it's about every, when it's green crackers, you're still, there's PM, there is toxic metal, there's gases. The Supreme Court in the Arjun Gopal versus Union of India, when it was came in 2015 and then 2018, they themselves, when they permitted green crackers, they clearly said it will be taken up only if it's enforceable. And the court also said that if the enforcement failed, the ban would revert. And which happened, subsequently.
But enforcement on complete ban is also not applicable. No, year after year we see no firecrackers all year round, but we still hear them. On Karwa Chauth we heard it. Every time there's a match, there's IPL, every time we hear it. So clearly enforcement is out of our hands. So clearly to top it up with green crackers, I have to say I agree with both of you, is clearly not the wise thing to do according to environment. But we'll see how that case actually pans out. Not very long to go. We barely have days. So we hope that the Supreme Court will be able to take a strict call on this just before that. Thank you both. Running out of time, but I promise we'll come back to this story. We'll come back to this story and we'll keep tracking it in the days to come, and especially after Diwali as well. Thank you both for joining us.